Welcome to Leadership Talks with your host, Dr. Kate Vawter. In each episode, Kate speaks with successful leaders across industries, real people, and local leaders. Each of her conversations explore different leadership styles, how people achieve unbelievable success, overcoming challenges, and how to become the best in the world. You can find this show at www.ascentsolutions.net and on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and more. Now here's the host of Leadership Talk, Dr. Kate Vawter.
Hello and welcome. Hi, Norma.
Hello, Dr. Vawter. How do you pronounce your name?
You can call me Kate. Vawter is pronounced like water, but with a V.
Okay, I want to give you your due. You know, your doctor. So let's everyone know that you're Dr. Vawter. Hello.
Well, thank you. That is when I teach, I let my students know they can call me Kate because they know me. But you know, as they're talking about how wonderful our class is and they're out in the world, then they can call me Dr. Vawter to let the world know that there are plenty of lady doctors.
Exactly.
Yes, but enough about me. Welcome to Norma Fraser, who is a world-renowned musician and general queen. I'm so pumped to have you on the show today.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. My pleasure. Thank you.
Well, my heart is full. So I would love to start with maybe your early years of like what has your career, your professional journey, or as I talk about with clients of like what do we do to generate revenue? How like what's your business like? How did you get there?
All right. Well, as you know, I'm a singer. Uh, Um, I've been singing ever since I was, well, actually, I made my first record when I was 16, but
Hey.
I didn't know I could sing at all. I had no. I used to love the music business, but couldn't even carry a tune at all. You know, and I would go to a lot of matinees in Jamaica whenever a lot of American artists came. I would go and listen to them, and I was so enthused by what I saw, and I really wanted to sing, but I couldn't sing at all.
I'm shocked. Okay, but I believe you. Carry on.
And so how this actually it just came out of the blue once. I was in the shower one morning, and I started, you know, da-da, and I said to myself, I can sing. This actually happened. It
That's so
sounded
fun.
good. Yeah. I decided, well, okay, let me go and okay. When I talked to two of my friends, two fellows, we were Roman Catholic at the time, and we used to go to CYOs, which is like it's like youth organizations. So I told two of my pals, let's form a group, and we did. Yeah, and we went to Studio One to audition. The audition. We weren't even singers or anything because we thought, well, we can sing now, you know. And that's how we actually started. And when I actually went there, remembering I couldn't sing at all, and I told it, you know, it just came when I was singing in the shower one day. And so I don't know if you've ever heard of the Scatterlights. That's the Scatterlights is the backing studio band that backed up Bob Marley, all of the big greats. And so I went to the leader, and he listened to all three of us, and he told the two fellas to go and plant yam because they cannot sing at all. And he turned to me and said, I want her. She has good ears, musical ears. And so it started, and he had me perform with his band. That's how that started.
Whoa. So
Yeah,
you were 16 then?
yeah. I was probably about 15 maybe because I
Whoa.
had my record at 16. Yeah.
So was your family around? What did they think about all
They
this?
didn't know it. No, I snuck out. They didn't know anything about it because my family they're educators, And no, they would not. They don't like that kind of stuff. Getting involved with that type of what should I say, group or medium. Let's use that word. Yeah,
Mhm.
because I thought that wasn't that. Because I'm up in Jamaica. We're classist, not racist, classist. You know,
Yeah.
so if you're from uptown, you should not, under no circumstances, um, associate yourself with the people from downtown.
Interesting.
Yeah, very classist. Yeah.
So how did you navigate that? What did it feel like to leave and to, I don't want to say lie, but to skirt the truth a bit?
They did no. What I would do, I would 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 put my clothing in the trees. You have huge trees, like mango trees. They're huge,
Yeah.
you know. Put my clothing in there, and I would tell my little sister, don't tell my mom or anybody. And then I would just have my regular uh, clothing that you wear in the house, you know. Then I would just sneak out and take the clothes off of the tree and go to like the theater and just change. Yeah, and then I would, watch. I'm sorry, I would go and do little singing and stuff, and then change again, and my sister would be the one who would open the back door, the back gate for me. We had this little thing going on. Nobody knew. I got busted though.
You did get busted?
Oh yeah, I got busted.
How long how long of a chunk of time was there before you got busted?
I would say a short period of time because I was a little bit clumsy, you know.
Well, and yeah,
Yeah,
teenagers, your
yeah,
brain's only so developed.
yes, yeah.
So then once your family found out, what did they say? How did that go?
They still did not like it because they wanted me to be a doctor because all of us, as I say, they're they're educators. We have lawyers, you name it.
Mhm.
Doctors, everything in the family. And my big brother at that time was went to at 18 at that time. He's older than I am, but he went to Oxford and Cambridge. He was so smart, you know.
Mhm.
18, yeah. So they all thought we should all emulate that. But I didn't want. I wanted to be a singer, you know.
Yeah.
But
So you
but
just
I
knew.
yeah, I just knew it. Yes, yeah. And the moment when I was in that show and I said and it sounded good, I said, there it is. I'm a singer.
Yep.
Didn't take any training or anything either.
Just yeah, no training, but years of practice.
Yes, 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 yes.
Goodness. Okay. So you were
And this
sneaking
is
out, you were hiding clothes in the trees. And
and this is
then
the
so
first
did
time.
you
Sorry to interrupt, but this is the first time I'm revealing this though. And there are a lot
oh
of books that have been written about me, and nobody knew about this. This is the first time, so this is a first for you.
wow. Well, thank you, Norma. I am honored. Thank you. I appreciate that vulnerability. And it's a really great story. And let's be honest, it's not like you were the first teenager to ever hide clothes in the trees. Like I also hid clothes and was like,
Oh,
I'm gonna wear this out of the house and then change. Uh,
wow!
yeah, yeah. I don't of like, yeah. It's a thing, right? Of
I
like
did not.
teenagers
I didn't know
telling
Americans did
parents
that.
one thing and doing another.
I didn't know Americans did that.
Well,
Thought
I
this
grew up
was a thing.
in the Midwest, in Kansas in particular, and there were, certain expectations about how young women should or shouldn't dress, and sometimes I didn't agree with what I was supposed to do or supposed to do, so
Right.
I would make my own choices and, hide clothes or like buy clothes and not put them through the regular laundry.
Goodness. I wish
Yeah.
I'd met you then. I could have given me some tips.
Yeah, right. Yeah, like keep the like right. Yeah. Well, we can strategize on that later. So then
Right.
what happened? Like did you finish school or like did you walk and just dive into music? How did you navigate
No,
education?
yeah, yes, I went to school, yeah. Private school, yes. It's we call you call them college here, but we call them high school there. but it's equivalent to your college. And
Mhm.
I went to Merle Grove High School, yes. But believe me, I did not study at all. My mind was on music all this time.
Yeah.
And I would ride a bicycle. Everybody knew me in Jamaica. You see me on my bicycle all over the place.
Huh.
Even Rita Morley is a good friend of mine, and she the last time she saw me said, "No more, you still riding your bicycle?" Because I was known for bicycle. I would ride all over the place, miles and miles. You know.
Mhm.
Um, so what I would do when I went to school, I would sneak out with my bicycle. I'm gone, and yeah, that's a no-no. You don't do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know where I got that from, and you see that, Kate, and we didn't communicate. You see that?
Mhm.
I had a little bit of Kate in me. See?
Mhm. I also am a biker and probably sang while I biked. Not quite like you, but I loved biking.
Yeah. So that's
So
it. So go ahead.
you finished school, and then then were you able to spend more time on music?
Yes, all I did. I would go to a lot of not a lot of shows, matinees, at that time to watch American artists,
Mhm.
musical artists. I would just oh goodness, it was just I've seen so many of them, and I've met a lot of them. I met Patti LaBelle, and we're good friends still today. She remembered me. Yeah, yeah. Met Patti LaBelle. Met a lot of them. Goodness, yeah, loads. Because I was very, I don't know, very, I don't know. In Jamaica, in Jamaica at the time when there were musical shows with musical artists from America, those were held in theaters
Mhm.
and with box seats, very, very high, so-called high class, like the Carib Theater and so forth. So what I would do at the time, I would like sneak in after I would get in, pay and get in. I want to go backstage, but you can't. You're not allowed to do that because I have a lot of security and stuff. And so
Right.
for somehow I would wiggle my way in there, and before you know it, I was in backstage with those people in their dressing rooms. Don't know how I did. Oh, I navigated that. And I would like dare my friends. My friends would dare me and say, Norma, you can't get there. No way. And I always get in. And they couldn't get in.
Huh. Have you
Always.
ever had somebody sneak into your dressing room?
No, 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 no. Because I know that, no, no, not now. Because I'm smart now. See?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. No. Nobody's ever done it. Knock on wood now.
Right.
I did.
Well,
I got there. I didn't like sneaking. I mean, I would knock on the door. They would let me in.
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
a knock, polite.
Yeah.
So when you were going to those shows, what kind of things were you learning or paying attention to?
I was paying attention to their performance, their entire performance, their entertainment style, their singing style, you know, and how they reacted with the audience.
Mhm.
Yeah, and especially their singing style.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. So I'm hearing that while you maybe didn't study the books from high school, you were very much studying and learning
Yes.
throughout that time.
Without knowing that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think
Also,
I think that's a thing plenty of entrepreneurs and business owners do, of that deep dive into the learning, which maybe doesn't even feel like learning or on purpose, because it's just this well, I have to know. It's not an option. I have to know. I'm going to go do this thing because what else would I do? I have to go be there and learn this thing.
hmm. That's it. That's a very good point. Do you think it's an unconscious thing?
Maybe of yeah, to some extent, of I think we're conscious of the fact that we've chosen to go places and pay attention to things, but like the amount of stuff that you learned in that pretty short amount of time was probably way more than you could have learned from a book. Of like, you were focused, you knew what you wanted to focus on, of like singing and styles and audience engagement. And so you went to places where you could learn those things, and probably learned way more in that chunk of time than you could have otherwise. And partly because you were having fun. Of like, we learn more when we have fun.
Yes, yes, yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
I like your theory. I like that. Makes sense.
Thanks. Well, I like your story. So then what happened?
Then roll the Scatterlights this little band. There were three of us, two fellas and me and myself,
Mhm.
and we went to audition. I mean, I don't know why we thought we were that great, good to be able to go in front of Roland Alfonso. He's a virtuoso, the best musician really down in Jamaica, right? We actually thought, okay, we can go and audition for this in front of this guy, man, and then he would just sign us, right?
Yeah.
We did, but
Oh,
they took me and not them. Yeah, yeah.
well, and off you went.
And yes, it started from then on. I became the singer of his band.
Mhm.
And then he introduced me to Mr. Dodd, who is a CEO of Studio One, the biggest reggae label.
Mhm.
And that's how that started, yes.
So did you ever have an agent? Were you just you? Like, how were you navigating contracts and money and stuff?
I was see I was doing it all. I had no knowledge of all that stuff. Nothing, none. Because remember, they didn't even know what I was doing. Right, my
Yeah.
parents, because they didn't want me to even be in that field at all. So I sign contract my own.
Mhm. Yeah.
I'm serious. And then I got copy. I was smart enough to ask for a copy. I didn't say, let me go to a lawyer and let the lawyer, review this before I sign it or anything like that. No, I just believed Mr. Dar that he would take good care of us,
Mhm.
and which was not good. That was
Yeah.
that. And then I would get paid, and that's it. Didn't even know I was getting the right amount either. Until
Right. Yeah.
yeah,
It's really hard as a new business person and as a young person and as a woman. Like, yeah, it's just such a different space. And then I like to trust people. And so of like trusting that they're writing up a contract and a deal that's fair and good. But is it? Who knows?
yeah,
So
yeah.
what was it a good deal?
I don't. Yeah, it was for him, for
Mm,
the CEO. Oh, sure, it's a
yeah.
great deal for him because just about every uh, record that was released was a hit. You know,
Of course it was.
yes, and he was doing great. But we didn't
Mhm.
know. We thought, oh, because you would hear your music on the radio every day, almost 24/7, and your friends, wow, yay, and nudging you,
Yeah.
and then I would give them vinyl, give them free records. All I
Mhm.
wanted really was just hear my voice on the radio. I thought that was it,
Mhm.
not realizing there was a business side of it also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When was there a moment when you realized there was a business side of it?
Yes, yes. I would say much later though, much later. And I think it's when I think I came to America to do some work. I went to Grand Cayman first, and I think I came here and I went, and then I saw, wow, America actually opened my eyes. I saw so many things. I said, what is this? I went back home, and the first thing I did, I went to him, went to the studio, and I said, hey, Mr. Dad, where's my money? You've been stealing from me. And he says, oh, okay, come now, my. Oh, and he said, I've always taken good care of her, always taking good care of her. taken good care of you. And he said, come to the office. So I went to the office and he gave me a big wad of money, cash. He did, you know?
Whoa.
And he said, okay, let's go into the studio. Let's go into the studio and let's do some more. Let's do record some more. I said, no, 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 no. That's when I stopped. I put my foot down at that point.
Okay, that's fascinating. I've never had somebody hand me a chunk of cash like that.
I know. Yeah. But then at the same time, it was like a bribe because he wanted me to get back in the studio and record some more for him. I said,
Yeah.
no, I'm done. Yeah.
So then you just walked, and that
Yeah.
was that?
That was that.
Norma, you are so fascinating, and I am encapsulated by this story. Okay. So you walked and had no label anymore. Aprox, how old were you then?
But I was still a teenager. But see, they were by then I got a manager, Mr. Gentles.
Okay.
He came, yes,
Mr.
and he was
Jangles?
Gentles,
Oh,
Gentles,
gentle. Oh, that's nice.
yeah, yes, and I think, let's see, where is he from? I'm not sure if he's from Canada, but he's Jamaican. They're a Caucasian Jamaican, and I think he was with RJR, which is one of our biggest radio station,
Mhm.
and he just liked like my performance and my singing, and he signed me up, and then wow, then that's when it went up, just blew up. Very wow, great manager. You know, got me one of the biggest stints in my life. It was on the North Coast at Club 35, and nobody at that age, I was like 18, I think, would ever gotten that deal. You know, I was just performing like I think 6 or maybe 5 nights a week. I think it was wonderful. Yeah, that I was on the North Coast, and I would stay there on the weekends. I would go home and stay with my family. But it was wonderful. Yeah,
How long was that chapter?
that I would say maybe maybe about 4 years, maybe.
That's nice.
Could be, and it could have been more. Yeah, but I won't talk about what happened there. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Oh, sometimes chapters end and we don't need to talk about it.
Yes, yes, but it wasn't my doing. It was another artist who was supposed to be a friend of mine. A fellow, and he was a calypso act, and he got jealous because I was getting all of this attention.
Yeah.
And he went and he backbited me, and that's how that went. Yeah. Yeah. But it was
Okay.
fun. It was a great experience. Beautiful experience.
What do you feel like you learned from that chapter of your career or life?
Well, I tell you what I learned, because I was at that time, and I was extremely. I was like a size 7, very pretty too. People would come into the show, and they would when they see me, they would say, they would actually gasp like they didn't expect this. And I was very shy, very pretty, and then and I was dressed in a designer's gown, all that kind of stuff, but what I learned from that was I didn't realize that they were predators, male predators. They were, and they would, and these were a lot of tourists, like people coming from all over the world, and they would send me, like, these men would come into the performance dressed up in 3-piece suits and whatever, and they would send me flowers up to my room and things, and I didn't understand why they were doing this. I thought they had some ulterior motive. Didn't understand it at all. I would send the flowers back.
Yes.
Yes. And there was one particular, he would come every night, and I didn't know what this was all about. Then I realized what it was all about. I said, no. I said, I go home. I'm a child, and I'm here to perform, and my parents, I live with my parents. I'm going back home to my parents every time after my shows, and he wanted to take me back to some country or whatever. It was, and I didn't like that aspect. To me, they were like preying on me like predators.
Yeah.
Especially when I was on stage, they were just like, oh, just looking at me like, weird feeling. I did not like that at all.
Yeah, I wouldn't. No, I wouldn't like that either. Nor did you deserve to be treated that way. That's
Right.
not cool. So how have you navigated like learning, as you were sharing that, it sounded like you experienced some surprise by
Yeah.
how people were behaving as and like you were this beautiful, strong, talented woman. So how have you navigated figuring out who you can trust and who you can't?
Right. It was very hard for me. What really gave gave me the strength was I know I can always go back home. You know, when I go home, man, that environment was very what should I say, caring for me and supportive. You know, I felt like okay, I don't forget the outside world. I'm home now. I'm safe.
Mhm.
You know, and but how did I navigate that? My good thing, I usually was kind of lucky, I would say, to be around mainly, mostly males. They would want to protect me because at this point, my mother realized that I mean, I'm not gonna go back and become a doctor. I'm staying right here. I'm going to be a singer. So what she would do is she would make sure that whoever is going to pick me up, she would talk to them first and said, make sure she comes home by X amount of time. And they would say, yes, Mrs. Fraser, you know. And
Yeah,
after I perform, they would say she needs to go back home. She needs to go back home, and they would get me and put me in the car and take me back home.
that's really honorable.
Yes, because I
That's
think they were
so
afraid of
kind
my
and
mom.
sweet. Right? Yeah.
Yeah, so make sure
So
she
when
comes home at that particular time, and they always took me home.
that's so sweet.
Yeah,
I I love that.
yes.
Let's take a brief pause. Let's hear from our sponsors, and then when we come back, I want to dive into what life is like now.
Okay.
Leadership Talks is proudly sponsored by Ascent Solutions, where we believe people are the best investment. Do you manage a team or own your own business? Research shows that when employees feel invested in and feel a sense of connection with the people they work with, they are more productive and more likely to stay with their current employer. At Ascent Solutions, we offer services including leadership coaching, professional development workshops, and brand development consulting, all of which are available in person or online. It is always the right time to invest in yourself and in your team. Visit us at ascentsolutions.net to schedule a complimentary consultation today.
Welcome back.
Welcome, welcome.
So as like it sounds like early career, like it was just one thing after another. Uh which is awesome and I think, ideal when we don't have to make giant strategic plans when life unfolds. So I'm curious, like now that you're all the way into your career, and I'm hoping that you can do whatever the heck you want whenever you want.
Yes.
How do you navigate your life now?
That's you just said it. You just succinctly. You just put it. In a nice little capsule. You're right. I do whatever I want to do right now. I turn shows down. Right. Right.
Yeah.
If
Hmm.
if the environment or situation is not right, I just turn them down.
Hmm.
You know. And now I have more. I'm in charge of my career, charge of myself at this point. Um,
Yes.
which is very to me liberating. Very liberating for me to
I
tell you.
love what you just said, that you are in charge of, like, I am in charge of my career, and what a great mantra that would be. So when did that pivot happen between, doing the things to like, nope, I'm in charge of my career?
To be honest with you, I'm, America to me has given the people that I used to surround myself with, they're Americans. I learned so much from Americans, the way that they're, goodness, they're fierce and fearless,
Mhm.
especially the women. And they actually taught me, because I was very shy and very modest, because in Jamaica, if you're a woman, you're supposed to be I would say subservient. Believe me, that
Yeah.
exactly. And so most of us are very quiet. But the women in this country have actually taught me how to be myself, and to be brave, and not to be afraid to express my feelings, and without any compunction. And that actually gave me that drive, to just tell a promoter, look, I'm not doing this show, or if I'm doing a show, I need X. If I don't get that, find somebody else, you know
Yeah.
and I feel good
Hmm.
about that. And that came from my association with American female. They gave me that strength. I'm serious. And so big up to the American women that I met in this country. Exactly,
Yeah.
it gave me the strength. Yeah.
I got the chills and some tears of like, I'm so for it. And that's why I'm here. That's why we're here. Is to empower women and to be in charge of their life and their career. So you mentioned that you had some strong women in your life. I'm curious, who, like, were there any mentors in that space of like the people that you're like, yeah, they helped me be my best self?
Yeah, I met Bella Abzug, I think that was her name. I did a show for her in New York. And I think she a congresswoman, I think. My goodness, outspoken. I did some private shows for her also, and this lady was wild, and outspoken and strong. And I said, goodness, she actually was a big influence also. I think her name Bella Abzug. Yeah, I'll never forget that. Like, forget it. A congresswoman. Yes, never forget her. Wow, she was brave. She was kicking butts. Believe me. And I said I was in awe of her, you know.
Yeah.
And I learned a lot. I learned a lot from her. A lot from her. Speaking to her also, as well as just watching her, how she manipulated and articulated herself and navigated herself, I should say, through
Hmm.
through her career.
Yeah. That it, I think it's interesting in life how sometimes we can learn by watching and being around people. And then other times, of to do the deep dive and to ask questions and have questions and answers. And sometimes we don't even need that. Sometimes we can just absorb the energy that somebody shows up with and try and take a little piece of it for ourselves. Or maybe
Yes,
not take the energy, but like manifest our own energy in that way.
yes, yes, yes. Yes, in fact, that's very true. Yeah, that's very, very true. But like we become sponges, little
Mhm.
sponges.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. I
it's
have
good.
felt real spongy in the last year, or like almost like a sensitive sponge. Like I've had to, or I've chosen to start saying no to some things and even some places that, of like, if it's not going to fill my cup, I want to be really thoughtful about what I'm saying yes to.
Yes, yes. Wow. That's thanks for sharing that, because that is making me that actually does make me feel as if I'm in good company. I'm
I
not
feel
weird.
like
I'm not weird
Mhm.
or strange. But it's okay if it feels strange or weird. If you become ostracized because you know that you're doing the right thing or in the right path, on the
Yeah.
right path. It's okay.
I was listening to a podcast the other day, and they were talking about how when your haters show up, that's that's when you know you're on the right track. Of like
Yes.
you're so into what you're doing that people think that it's okay to throw shade your way, and when that happens, you're on the right path. And that felt like a
Mhm.
really good reminder of in those moments when people show up and have things to say that are unkind or untrue. Like, well, guess I'm on the right path.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. They know you're doing good.
Yeah.
You're not a follower. I'm not a follower at all. No, never
Yeah.
have been. Yeah.
Same. Other than when I'll take moments to choose to be a follower and be like, hey, I don't want to make decisions. You make decisions.
Yes.
Like you can decide what's for dinner or where we go or whatever. I'm along for the ride today.
Right. When I said follower, I meant to be a part of the in crowd,
Yeah.
whatever that means. You see. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, no, I don't do that. I'm also and I'm very what should I say, touched by people's plight in life. I'm very touched by that. I don't know where that came from. Probably from my uh, uh, inception and conception.
Mhm. Mhm.
But I just have this thing for mankind. I justice is it means so much to me. I have to fight for justice wherever I see injustice, and I try to use my platform to address that.
That's heartwarming and yes, of like for it. How do you how do you decide what to use your platform for?
Well, and anything that feel actually feel that it's not right. It's not some people. It's causing too much pain
Mhm.
for others. That, and then I'm touched in that way. Then I realize that's something I need to speak out against.
Right. Do
Yeah.
you I am fascinated by human emotions. So I'm going to ask a question that's a little different. You mentioned feeling like it's worth your time to some extent. Where, like, do you feel it in your belly? Do you feel it in your heart? Like, where does that feeling show up?
In my spirit. That may sound very esoteric, but in my spirit, I actually feel in my spirit that it's not right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you say spirit, uh, does that translate to like inner knowing of just you just
Yes.
know it just is?
Inner knowing. Beautiful way for you to describe that. Exactly.
Thank
You just
you.
know. Yes.
Yeah, I love that language of my spirit knew. Because I think plenty of us have had those moments, but it's whether like do we listen or not? And knowing that I think, especially as women, our intuition is strong and being able to like pause and listen and feel and just know and be okay with like, yep, this is my spirit and this is my intuition and I don't need any data to back up this decision. I know that this thing is wrong, so I'm going to try and fix it.
Right. Exactly. Well, because you have a you have a compass. To me,
Mhm.
I say like a spiritual compass that guides us. Or should guide us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does your spiritual compass align with your family's? Is your spiritual compass different than your family?
No, I would say no. I think they're uh, in coordination with them. Our beliefs are usually, I think, the belief is the same, and it came from really my mother. She's something else. Yeah, yeah, very. But she does, and she it's nothing. She's not a religious person.
Mhm.
Very spiritual by her actions. So she treats other people. She would bring people in because we were a little bit more. We were middle class, and we had maids and all that stuff. And she would bring some of her helpers. We call people who work for us helpers, and they came from the parishes, the country. And you know what she would do? She would send them to school. use your own money and send these the helpers' kids to school. Let them live right there in her home. You know?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. And I would say to her at times, you fool in Jamaica we use a word like you fool. I mean you're stupid. Mommy, why you so fool? Right?
Uh-huh.
And but she said, "Oh dear, you know, dear, you should do all the good you can while you can, to as many as you can." Those were
Mm-hmm.
her words. Yes, I learned, and I learned from her. Yes,
Yeah, it sounds like you have at least some of her spirit.
right, exactly. Yeah, yeah,
What a gift to be passed down. That's for sure.
yes. And I try, I try to be authentic. You know,
Mm-hmm.
exactly. I try to be. I work on that every day. Not to be false. You know, with my I should say delivery.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah. I think it's authenticity is huge in the leadership landscape of if if we're gonna get anywhere, we need to know ourselves and be ourselves.
exactly.
So I'm curious, what like as we think about the next round of women who might be interested in being singers or working in the music industry, what advice or what wisdom could you pass on to them?
Know the know the business of music. It's a business.
Right.
Know that aspect of it first. You know, acquaint yourself with that. Do all of your research about the business of music before you even get, because it's a business. Because the main thing is, you're talented, yes, all right, and you're signed to a label, sure. Then who's going to take handle the business aspect of it,
Mhm.
right? Who's going to, okay, okay, if they tell you that um give you a contract, do you know the inner workings of that contract? Do you read are you able to understand the fine print of that contract? Because that's where the what should I say, the trick is. Not in the
Mhm.
big bold portion of the contract. The very fine print is usually at the bottom. You need to get yourself a good lawyer, somebody who's not a crook, and do your homework. Just don't just get any lawyer. Do your research. Get on Google if you like Google. I don't like Google. Get on Google and research that person inside out. Right?
Right.
Actually, interview a lot of them first before you hire any of them, and get the one that's really has your, what should I say, your welfare,
Right.
instead of just using you as a money. What should I say? As a tool to make him or her rich,
Mhm.
right? So learn the
Okay.
business of music, and then you're fine.
Yeah, it's a step in the right direction. Learn the business of music and find a good lawyer is what I
Yes,
heard. And
good lawyer.
find a champion who, and when I say champion, I mean manager, agent, like person who's going to advocate for you, who cares about you, the person, not just you, the revenue generator.
And look at the books too. Audit those books. Just don't believe what your manager tells you, or your accountant tells you. I want to see those books.
Right.
Oh, yeah, and educate yourself. Learn
Yeah.
about figures. Yeah.
I think that's huge. My guest a couple weeks ago teaches business owners about finance to some extent. And yeah, like we should all be looking at our books. And like there's nothing, or fear is normal when looking at numbers. Humans have this funky aversion to numbers. And or at least do Jamaicans also like have fear of math? Because it's very much an American thing.
No, but see, no. One thing about it, the women in Jamaica, they're smarter than the men in college, in school. They're sharp. They're sharp, and they're good with math. Math. Oh yeah, they're good with math. They're not afraid of math at all. No, the Jamaican women, they're wonderful. They're sharp, smart.
Mm. Well, I need more of that for my students because it's this very American thing that math is hard and numbers are scary. And sure, like learning anything new can be a challenge and there can be fear, and those feelings of discomfort are totally normal.
Ah,
Okay. Well, thank you so much. I'm curious, is there anything else you want to share with our listeners today?
yes, just one thing. I want to thank you also, both of you, for actually inviting me. This, um, uh, to me, this was a wonderful, wonderful opportunity to actually um, be with women who care, about each other and about where we need to go, and who are we, and you're giving us this platform to express those feelings and explore, you know our inner feelings and our inner feelings. There's a book, and I think I haven't read this book in years, but this book actually touched me, and it's called Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. I would really like a lot of the women who are listening to this broadcast to get a copy and just read it. Just read that, and I think that would actually bless them, and use that word, bless them a lot, and help guide them if they can find meaning in their existence. It will help us to survive even though the greatest obstacles.
That's great advice. I
Yeah.
haven't read it yet. It, I will I will acquire it in some way, shape, or form today.
Okay. Great.
Well, Norma, it has just been such a treat to have you on the show. You're welcome back anytime. I'm sure we could talk for days about any number of things. So I want to thank Norma Fraser, who's here today as a wonderful singer, musician, and I'm calling queen because I think she is. I want to thank the production team for all the help behind the scenes. And of course, I want to thank our listeners because without you, our show is just the two of us. So thanks to everyone. And until next time, you matter, you are enough, and the world is a better place when you let your light shine. Thanks all.
You've been tuning into Leadership Talks with your host, Dr. Kate Vawter. You can find this show and learn how to be one of the best in the world at www.ascentsolutions.net and on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and more. Thank you for your positive feedback, comments, questions, and for sharing the show with others.